The 20-year-old managing director of a Melbourne company today started what he claims is a war against unemployment. But as Ian Neil reports, the same manufacturer sacked 45 workers just last week.
This is the full-page advertisement which cost Craig Mance of the Windsor Smith Shoe Company $7,000 to run in this morning's Sun. The result was a big roll-up at Commonwealth Employment Service offices and 20 job vacancies with the company rapidly filled. But also at the CES in Preston was a girl who was one of the 45 sacked by the company last Thursday. She says after working there for the past 12 months, she wouldn't go back.
They push you a lot to do your work, and the conditions are terrible.
Craig Mance confirmed the sackings, but says he's not able to retrain those retrenched to fill the vacancies.
Would you offer a job to somebody in another area, somebody that doesn't want to come to work? Or, I mean, would you rather start from scratch and get people in that want to work?
Craig Mance admits the company has a 100% turnover in unskilled labour each year. That's something the union blames on working conditions, not the attitude of employees.
Conditions in the factory there are bad. There isn't any doubt about that. I've had complaints there for years that I've taken up with the company. Nothing has ever seemed to be done.
Craig Mance claims most young people don't want jobs in factories. He says they're more interested in drawing the dole and doing untaxed part-time work. Ian Neil, National 9 News.
Still to come, violent clashes on the eve of
People last week spent $7,000 on a newspaper advertisement today to fill 20 vacancies in his factory. And as Leslie Faulkner reports, a meeting with the media threw up some soul-searching questions.
It should have been a superb PR exercise. A $7,000 ad from a young shoe company manager warmly offering the unemployed 20 factory jobs. The invited media turned up at the Preston CES office to witness the response, but there the Windsor Smith Shoe Company manager was in for a surprise.
Really, I wanted to highlight and tell kids that are leaving school that think that there's no jobs in Australia and everything's gloom and doom. There is jobs and you can kick on.
However, at the same CES office was one of the 45 people Craig Mance had sacked just last week.
Were you given any reasons?
No, I was a good worker.
What about your friends?
No, they were good workers too.
Not so, said Craig Mance. The company had to restructure.
All the 45 obviously didn't want to work or didn't want to become part of it, otherwise they wouldn't have been sacked. I mean, why would we sack them? For fun?
Had he considered retraining rather than loudly looking for 20 new workers?
I mean, how can you retrain somebody's attitude?
The next complaint was about the factory itself.
The conditions are terrible. A lot of people have fallen through the floor.
The company says it spent $100,000 upgrading its Preston factory, but the question had to be asked.
People still falling through floorboards?
Not that I know of.
But all in all, Craig Mance did fall on his feet. The Windsor Smith Shoe Company now has 20 new workers.
So thanks for joining us. Tonight we meet the Casanova Kelpie and some of his $500,000 offspring. And a young tycoon comes under fire after sacking 33 of his workers.
How do you expect to have any credibility when you don't know anything about me, you don't know anything about this company, you don't know anything about the shoe game in particular, you don't know nothing, mate. All you've come down here is for a shit stir. That's all.
A full-page advertisement in today's Melbourne Sun got instant results. The ad, aimed at unskilled workers, said, "Today, only one thing will stop you getting a job. You." And within hours of the paper's publication, hundreds of unemployed converged on the local Commonwealth Employment Office. The ad was also designed to give a young businessman and his shoe manufacturing company some good publicity. But as Martin King reports, the boot, or shoe, turned out to be on the other foot.
Craig Mance was only 19 when he took control of the family's shoe empire, Windsor Smith, just a year ago.
Have you sacked anybody yet?
No, I haven't, in fact.
Are you capable of sacking someone?
Oh, yeah, if I get rubbed the wrong way.
Today he was back in the news after placing a full-page advertisement in a daily newspaper seeking 20 unskilled workers.
Well, I was astounded, knowing that they had sacked people last week. I was astounded.
Ray Bell is the Assistant Secretary of the Australian Boot Trade Employees Union.
There's got to be something there that's hidden, in my opinion. I think there is something hidden.
So what you're saying is this whole thing is a con?
I believe it is. I am of that opinion.
A lot of people out there are extremely willing to work, and yet there's a lot of other ones that obviously don't want to work.
While Craig was attempting to woo the media, he was unaware he had stirred up a hornet's nest.
Well, we're concerned that this publicity stunt that's been orchestrated today is disrupting the efforts of our members to help unemployed people.
Doug Lilly is the Secretary of the Clerical Officers Association, which represents CES workers.
He only lodged his jobs on Friday and then today launched with full-page advertisements in the ad saying that he couldn't fill these jobs. If he'd just let the CES get on with their job of filling those 20 positions, then they would have done it.
Stephen Gilson, please.
While Craig's advertisements had attracted hundreds of young hopefuls, back at the Windsor Smith factory, the union officials had decided to put the boot in.
12 months ago, we had 338 members here until March last year. Till March this year, we had 488. That's an increase of 150. Now, that's wonderful. That is great. But, I mean, you know, what happens all of a sudden that you're going to get rid of 40 and then replace them with another 20? Now, I know what your argument's saying.
We're getting more shoes back from retailers than we could handle. And I was personally working in the factory myself, trying to lift the quality up, trying to get the people to put in the time and the effort to make the shoes right. Hey, you can't keep paying people to make rejects.
Oh, well, there's no doubt about that.
And those jobs will be filled. I did an ad last time and it worked, so I'm doing it again to get it going again. I put ads into the classifieds all the time, it doesn't work. So the only thing that works, mate, is a full-page ad to tell everyone, hey, we got jobs, boom.
The CES would have filled those jobs for you, no worries, without this sort of disruption that you... Yes, I do, because I represent the members who work in that CES, and they don't appreciate their work and their efforts to assist the unemployed being disrupted by these sort of cheap publicity stunts, which in fact are offering a net reduction of 25 jobs.
That's right.
Today,
you're pulling a big con, aren't you?
What I'm saying here is, when was the last time that anyone's been told that there is jobs around?
Every day it happens in the CS. People get referred to the
I've never heard about it.
You get people referred to your jobs?
Mate, I've never heard about any 62,000 jobs around Australia.
You live in an unreal world.
Hey, mate, you live in the unreal world.
You've walked straight into this job, inherited it, taken it over from your father. You've never faced the real world of what it's like to be unemployed.
No, I don't know what it's like to be unemployed.
You don't. You drive around in your Porsche or whatever. You've never been unemployed. You don't know what it's like. You've lived a privileged existence.
You wouldn't know shit from clay, mate. That's what you wouldn't know, because what you think is that all I do here is drive around in my car and pose around. Mate, the whole thing's done by getting down there and making it happen.
If everybody could start from the position you started from, you know, they'd be a lot happier, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not just guys like me that inherit a company. Sure, I'm very privileged to inherit a company like this. Yeah. But what I'm saying to people is that you don't have to inherit a company like this to go forward. I'm saying to kids, and we've had cases where kids have walked in off the street and we've grabbed them and given them a job and they said, we didn't even know any jobs existed.
Yeah, well, perhaps if the $7,000 you spent on that ad would have been better used in fixing up your factory here, making it a better place to work,
exactly.
And you might have been able to keep...
Craig.
Have you ever been in the factory?
You're going to let the cameras go through the factory? You wouldn't let one of the other crews go through the factory,
Have you ever been in our factory?
I haven't been through your
factory.
How
would you know, mate?
I have.
Because he has, and he's
Craig,
the
I'll tell you
official.
something. I'll tell you something. You're talking about getting people to work in your factory.
Did you see
what you're actually trying to do is get people to stay in your factory. That's your biggest problem. The conditions of that shithouse in this factory here, I don't know how anyone can work there. They are shithouse.
Mr. Mance, thanks for your time.
My pleasure, Mike.
Are conditions in your factory poor?
I don't think so. I've been to many factories all around the world, and in Australia, and I think that our factory is of a great standard.
Great.
Yes.
Did you cheat in your advertising today?
No, I don't think so. It's been blown out of all sorts of proportion.
If you really needed to sack 33 people in one hit, not under financial pressure, but just under the pressure of efficiency, doesn't that indicate poor management?
Well, it could do. I mean, a lot of the, if you say it's poor management, we've been growing at a rapid rate in the last 18 months, and it's sort of, we've been putting on as many people as we possibly can. We did an ad very similar to this 12 months ago to get a large number of people, and it worked very successfully.
But can't you educate people? Can't you improve their efficiency? Can't you give them incentives?
Sure, we give them incentives now. I don't know, you get some people are fantastic people, but the people that were there just weren't of the high standard that we needed. I mean, we can't produce shoes in Australia for Australians to buy that aren't of a top quality standard.
Let's go back to the question of honesty in advertising.
Mm-hmm.
You said in your ad today, if you realise, like I did, that it doesn't matter where you start, but you didn't tell them that you started at the top.
I didn't really start at the top.
Well, how long did it take you to get to the top?
4 years, 3.5 years.
You took over the company at 19 years of age.
That's correct. I started on the factory floor, learning all the jobs, working with all the people that Windsor Smith employs, and in the same conditions, and worked my way up to the top. I'm very lucky that the sort of opportunity that I've been given.
It's like that old joke. Your father must have said, I don't care how long it takes him to get to the top, even if he's only 19.
Yeah, well, I mean, he must have thought that I could have handled it. I don't think he'd really put me in charge if he thought that I was going to blow 40 years of blood, sweat and tears of...
But it's misleading advertising, isn't it? When you say, if you realise, like I did, that it doesn't matter where you start. You were chief executive at 19.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I started at the bottom. If I didn't show the aptitude to get the job, I wouldn't have got it. I mean, I didn't have to work in the factory floor and base my life around a shoe factory. I could have quite easily worked in a office.
If you'd started at the age of 15 in that factory as Craig Smith, would you have been chief executive at 19?
In Windsor Smith, no. I would have been very high up the ranks.
Do you think you're guilty of false advertising?
No. I mean, the whole thing's been turned into a total disarray. I mean, I've tried to go out and say something to the Australian people about there is jobs around in Australia. We need 20 of those people, but there's also 62,000 vacant positions in Australia today, and all that's...
But you created those jobs so rapidly. You sacked 33 people by your own admission, and you didn't give the CES a chance to fill them.
But those 20 jobs were not to replace the 33 that were dismissed. Those 20 jobs were in a separate factory. We've got 2 different plants.
Are you fair dinkum?
I am. I am honestly fair dinkum, and today, I mean, I can't believe the amount of criticism that I've come under for trying to...
But you know, there's a general feeling about that so many Australians feel that most people on the dole could get a job if they want. Haven't you exploited that feeling with this advertisement of yours? And you don't tell them you've just sacked 33 people?
Well, why should I tell them? I mean, is it a huge thing that's got nothing to do with the 20 jobs that I was offering? If I was offering the 20 jobs to replace the 33, yes, I should tell them. But if I'm offering 20 extra jobs which didn't exist in the factory beforehand, I don't think I should tell them. That is a disciplinary measure that was taken by Windsor Smith and by myself as managing director to improve the running of the plant. Those 33 jobs will be replaced with, hopefully, people that will put their heart into it and do an honest day's work.
Mr. Mance, thanks for your time.
My pleasure, Mike.
Well, Mr. Craig Mance, Managing Director of Windsor Smith Shoes. We'll be back with more in just a moment.